This speech was much anticipated because people thought that it would herald the end of the lockdown. But Boris Johnson was clear when he spoke last night in that pre-recorded video that this was the first sketch of a roadmap. So really, this is all very conditional and it's not going to happen straight away. It's going to be changes in rules that come over 3 phases. The first phase will start this week when work and exercise are particularly being focused on. Anyone who can't work from home, he said, for instance, those in the construction or manufacturing industries, should be actively encouraged to go to work. But that isn't really a change. That's always been the case. The advice has always been that if you can't work from home, you could go to work, if your work is open, of course. He said that those people should avoid public transport if at all possible, and that there will be new guidance for employers to make workplaces what he called COVID secure. From this Wednesday, people are also encouraged to take more and even unlimited amounts of outdoor exercise. They can sit in their local parks, enjoy the sun, or drive to other destinations even, and they can even play sports, but only with members of their own household. Step 2 will be reopening schools, and in Step 2, he said that will happen the earliest, June the 1st, after half-term. He believed that there may be the scope to begin a phased reopening of shops as well, and to get primary school pupils back into schools in stages, beginning with reception Year 1 and Year 6. He said that secondary pupils facing exams next year will then get some time with their teachers, not exactly specific, before the holidays. And he said that they would shortly be setting out detailed guidance on how to make it work in schools and shops and on transport to keep social distancing. And then the third step, he said, would be the hospitality industry and other public places, and that won't come until later. But he said all of this is conditional on the performance of the lockdown and how people manage to cope with the rules in order to keep the spreading of the disease down, and that if that isn't working, being measured against their 5 requirements, then it simply won't be going ahead.
Talk to us a little bit more about Britain's reaction to this virus compared to other countries in Europe and even further afield. How is it faring?
Well, there's been a lot of criticism about how this government has acted, particularly in terms of the speed or lack of speed that they put in place when the virus crisis started. Some say that's very unfair to them and that this was an unknown across the whole world. But others point to the fact that other countries put measures in place much earlier. Israel, for example, putting this quarantine requirement for all incoming flights. Anyone on a flight into Israel had to spend 2 weeks in quarantine. Britain is only just talking about doing that now. And even yesterday, Boris Johnson mentioned it, but didn't give a date when that would start. He said it's important to help keep the R level down. That's the contagion level, how many people each person suffering from COVID can spread it to, and that would help us prevent a second wave, a second spike, having already peaked, he said, with our infection levels. But the infection levels here are so high that example is just one, where some say that he should have done that much earlier, and this could have helped contain the disease spread altogether in the first place. Over 30,000 deaths in the United Kingdom means that there is certainly room for criticism of whether or not Boris Johnson and his government have acted quickly enough.